Good morning, everybody. Happy birthday to me, 46 years old, or 46 years orbiting around the sun, assuming you believe in globe Earth. Never felt better. Never felt as good as I do today at 46. I'm drinking coffee, my first coffee of the morning. It's freaking cold outside. And wow, we are some very interesting times right now. It's like I think we're at the right side of history. I think that we've definitely are observing some and experiencing some, I don't want to say unprecedented times, but we're actually seeing some times that I don't think we've ever seen, as far as at least this generation and even my parents' generation. Okay. My parents' generation, born in the 1940s, so they never really had the AIDS virus, which was like a scare, but not to this magnitude. People are downplaying what's going on right now, and it's just that, you can't downplay what's going on. This is insane. So I was just at a friend's house a couple of days ago for the Super Bowl, and we were hanging out, and then they went and my husband and his friend went to go get wings at the pizza place, and we ate wings and we hung out, and everyone was great. And then now I come to find out 3 days later, they're all sick over there. They all have some kind of flu bug, a stomach flu no less. And I'm like, what the hell? Then I'm thinking, all these school closures in Northeast Ohio, which I don't think I've ever experienced since being in Ohio, having school closures, unless it was like a lot of snow or a lot of ice, but never for sickness. And then I remember that virus attack, whatever it was, just really like poured mucus out of me. And then I'm thinking, they don't have these coronavirus tests that we need to actually have to see if there's secondary infection or secondary transmissions. But they haven't. They're still in the process of developing that, and the FDA is still in the process of approving that. So there isn't like widespread available yet. But I'm thinking, like, you know what? If viruses influence and trigger predispositions, why wouldn't it trigger the flu, the stomach flu? Because viruses are in the environment. It's bacteria. We all have them. Our cells talk to each other. We talk to people who have viruses that have kind of the same viruses that we do, and we interact, we commune. We commune based on similarities in virus exposure or virus prevalence or virus antibodies at the surface. So, why wouldn't it influence the flu bug? So then I asked Google, do viruses influence each other? And of course, Google says, hell yeah. So I'm thinking, like, the flu bug. Everyone's getting the flu bug, which we know it happens. But the magnitude right now, it seems to be really, really intense, more than last year. Okay, so do you speak virus? Phages, which is when the virus goes and inserts the DNA into the cells. Phages sending chemical messages. A virus that infects bacteria listens to messages from its relatives when deciding how to attack the host. See, that's a little scary, isn't it? So I'm thinking like this. It's like the viruses gossip with each other. They get into a neighborhood. They find the lowdown. It's like when you find the gossiper, the one that knows everyone's business. You know who they are, because they're the ones that are always talking, saying, you know what happened here, you know what happened there, you know what she did, you know what he did, right? Well, that's what these viruses do. They enter into an environment and they talk to the ones that flap in their wings, flap in their mouth. And so a virus that infects a bacteria listens to messages from its relatives when deciding how to attack the host. Okay, so viruses called phages hijack bacteria and use them to produce more copies of themselves. Now researchers have found they can also communicate. So if we have this coronavirus in the environment and we have the flu bug just running rampant in a community, holy hell, all hell will break loose. And it has, and it is. Okay? Viruses sense chemical signals left behind by their forebears, so they can decide whether to kill or just infect their hosts. Okay, so you look at, so forget just the cellular level, look at that at like the macro, not the micro cell, but the macro cellular level. Whether to infect, or whether to kill or just infect. Well, isn't that based upon your predispositions? If you have major weaknesses and the virus is like, oh crap, look how many weaknesses this person has. And they survey the environment and they look, and that's probably why a 7 to 14 day incubation period, because it may take a while for that virus to scan the environment and figure out the best plan of attack. That's scary, insidious, and very much like the art of war. So viruses act like almost Sun Tzu in the art of war. There is a way to attack the enemy. There is a way to do it to where it leaves them completely decimated at some point. May not be right away. It may have to go into it in a very strategic way, but that's probably why the incubation period is so long and why you can be communicable. So the discovery in viruses that attack bacillus, bacteria. Now you know that Jilly Juice has the lactobacillus, okay? And that is the good bacteria that needs to populate your gut to then send the right messages and signals to your body. But what happens if you have that bacteria being invaded by a virus and you have a weak body? That's when you have a weak body, it means you don't have enough of the right bacteria and enough of the immune system strong enough to fight off the virus that could potentially want to take you down. But they only want to take you down if you have a weak body. So here's this. The discoveries in viruses that attack bacillus, bacteria, marks the first time that any type of viral communication system has ever been found. But researchers say that many other viruses could communicate with each other through their own molecular languages. Because even viruses that are responsible for human disease, oh yeah, here we go. But researchers say that many viruses could communicate with each other through their own molecular language. Perhaps even viruses that are responsible for human diseases. Well, of course, duh. If that is the case, scientists may have found a new way to disrupt viral attacks. The secret viral code was spotted by a team led by Rotem Sorek, a microbial geneticist at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Rehovot, Israel. Their findings are published on Nature on 18 January. Okay, this is like in 2017. This is going to be one of those transformative papers, says microbiologist Martha Clokey, who studied viruses that infect bacteria known as bacteriophages or phages at the University of Leicester, UK. Infection signals. So if you guys get like the flu or any other type of triggers in diagnoses and predispositions, most likely a new virus, whether it's a flu or the coronavirus, was the influencer. Now, are you going to go get a test? Well, that's only if they want to test you and if they have enough tests. And by the time they have an actual test in your hospital, it's going to be so widespread, it's not going to even matter. Okay? So, infection signals. Sorek's team was looking for evidence that a bacterium called Bacillus subtilis might alert other bacteria to phages. The researchers knew that bacteria speak to their brethren through secreting and sensing an array of chemicals. No different than when a dog sniffs somebody's ass. Okay? This phenomenon, called quorum sensing, allows the bacteria to adjust behaviors according to the numbers of the other bacteria around. For instance, bacteria use quorum sensing to decide whether to divide or when to launch an infection. So it's sensing the weaknesses. Instead, the team found, to its surprise, that a viral invader of Bacillus bacteria, a phage called PHI3T, makes a chemical that influences the other behaviors of other viruses. Some phages can infect cells in two different ways. Usually they hijack host cells and multiply until the host bursts and die. Sometimes even phages insert their own genetic material into a host genome, then lie dormant until a trigger causes them to reawaken and multiply later. So that's the thing, is you can be like asymptomatic, it can be dormant, it could be there for a while. And that's what I'm saying, when people get like, they get exposed to AIDS, but they don't have the triggers, or it's not multiplying, it's just laying dormant. But when a weakness is present, that's the thing. It's like having like a guerrilla warfare, having someone lie in the bushes waiting for someone to walk by. That's the weakness, when you're just like, not knowing, what your surroundings are, and you're walking down an open road and there's a gorilla or a virus ready to pounce. That's freaking insane. Wow. The newly discovered viral communication system alerts the way PHI3T infects. The team first injected PHI3T into the flask of Bacillus subtilis bacteria and found that the virus tended to kill the bacteria. Then they filtered the contents of this flask to remove bacteria and viruses, but keeping small proteins, and fed this conditioned medium to a fresh culture of bacteria and phages. That changed what the phage did. It was now more likely to slip its genome into the bacteria rather than kill it. The team named the mysterious molecule that they suspected was involved arbitrium, after the Latin word for decision, and set out to identify it. So, annoyingly good, after 2.5-year search, Sorik and graduate student Zohar Erez discovered the arbitrium was a short viral protein that seeps out of infected bacteria after death. Oh, when levels of arbitrium build up, that's why they're burning bodies probably in China. After the large numbers of cells have died, phages stop killing off the remaining bacteria and retreat to lie dormant in bacterial genomes instead. Sorik Erez and their colleagues identified 2 further PHI3T proteins that measured levels of arbitrium and then influence the nature of subsequent infections. It does make a lot of sense. If the phage is running out of hosts, it would try and limit the destruction and sit quiet and wait for the host to reestablish growth. The new work is annoyingly good. And she also expects other phage biologists will discover the communication systems, which is like fungus. Okay. Phages, most of them in genomes of Bacillus viruses. Phages broadcast in different frequencies. They speak different languages, and they can only hear the language that they speak. He often wonders whether viruses that infect more complex organisms, such as people, could talk to one another. Ooh, HIV and herpes viruses can cause both active and latent infections. Yeah, so that's it. So that's the thing. So we have no idea. So we have the coronavirus, okay, that's in our community in some way influencing your predisposition. So if you have the flu virus in your body, which everybody does, and it lays dormant, because remember why everybody gets sick around the change of the season is because that's when the body becomes weaker as it's adjusting to the new environment, and that's when viruses are opportunistic. So now you have the flu virus, it's opportunistic, capitalizing on your adaptation process, and then you have this coronavirus that's coming in and triggering your predispositions. Okay, so it may not be just obviously respiratory, because remember the alimentary canal starts from the mouth all the way down to your ass, and it takes into account all of the ear, nose, and throat. Okay, so having a stomach bug, so really what I'm trying to wrap up here is having the stomach bug, it could be a trigger could have been triggered from the coronavirus in the environment. Because you know very well that the coronavirus has probably been in this environment for probably a few months now, because they discovered it December 8th because of a whistleblower. But who knows how many people have had it and died from it, but no one really knew what it was, because it triggered pneumonia and cancer or other things that people get all the time, or aneurysms, until a doctor actually said, hold on a second, I'm seeing something questionable here, and he whistle-blew December 8th. But I can assure you, most likely it's been around prior to December 8th. And of course, we had flights, hundreds and thousands of flights going in and out of China since that time. And it's only since the end of January did the coronavirus actually become mainstream, and then only recently did they just stop the flights. A little too late. It's here. I mean, we're seeing these school closures where 30 kids died, from the flu alone in some other place like in Oklahoma. Okay? So this is a very strategic disease that is going to make you think it's other things that are going on in your body that has no correlation to this unless you go get it tested and see how many antibodies are present at the time of whatever attack you sustain. But yeah, viruses definitely do influence each other. Of course they do. And so that's why with the J juice, you are trying to now, viruses are housed in antibodies in your body. Okay? So you have viruses, but they turn into antibodies. And when you test negative, it doesn't mean the virus is gone. It just means that you don't have as many antibodies that are going to cause an upset of homeostasis. Because that's why people get adverse reactions or get some kind of inflammation from being exposed to a virus, like a flu bug, on a weak body, or when they get a vaccine. Because any type of antibodies that are present because of that virus, because it's attacking that virus, that new thing, now it's replicated, but now it's a source of protection. But you have too many of those, okay? When you have too many antibodies that are made up of the actual virus that you're trying to protect yourself from, it then agglutinates and then turns into, and then not even just turns into, it then starts attacking the target cells, the target systems, the target organs. Okay? So when you get exposed to HPV, when you get exposed to herpes or any of those types of STDs, it targets the reproductive system. And so you can be exposed to it, test negative, but at some point when your body is weaker is when they start multiplying. And then you start seeing symptoms, start seeing the body go into inflammation. You start getting rashes and all the things that happen when people have viral infections. And that's why they then use steroids or other types of antibiotics or something to try to suppress the symptoms. But then what you're doing is weakening the body and deadening the body, causing more mutations, negative ones, not positive ones, but negative ones. So just assume that the coronavirus is in your environment. You don't need government confirmation. I mean, yeah, I guess it substantiates things on an official level, but if you know how viruses work, America is not like this, immune, immune country that we're not. It only happens in China or everywhere else. When they have these maps of where people have been confirmed, I mean, it's like, California, and then you have like maybe Michigan and, North Carolina and Texas and a few other states. But I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm thinking it's all over the US. It just hasn't been actually tested and confirmed. It's already been shown in South Africa and Botswana. Okay. So it's just a matter of who is keeping track of all the sicknesses in the region and who's willing to be the whistleblower in that area and then go get a test from the CDC or the WHO if they're willing to even do that. But, we have a world that needs to also make sure no one panics and keeps the markets relatively stable. So they don't want, so now they're slowly releasing. There's a deluge. There's a deluge, you guys, but they're slowly releasing the information, getting everybody, I would say, in a nice smooth transition, getting used to the fact that yes, because you're seeing them talk about it more and more even on mainstream television. Last night on CBS News, they were showing some of the videos that I see in my groups that have leaked out from China, that they're barring and barricading people into their homes, like seriously barricading them in their homes, or taking them off the street if they don't wear a mask, or if they don't get a temperature reading or something. And so it's pretty scary out there. So, I'm really, really happy that we're not like communist China, but who knows what? I mean, in a couple weeks when you start seeing people filling the ER, and that's the thing, I live in an area where it's pretty, I mean, not say it's spread out. I mean, I live more of an inner city, but it's not as totally compact as like places like in, suburbia, California. But I don't think even our hospital here can handle the amount of people. I don't think we have enough beds to handle the amount of people coming down. And so right now it's still a slow trickle, because right now Mercy Hospital, we haven't heard anything that how the ER is filling up. People are trickling in sporadically and then being sent home. Trickling in, sent home. No one has really triggered too much the ICU as far as, well, I'm sure they have, but not at the level of where there's so much at once. See, that's what's going on in China, is that people are being triggered to go to the ER like all at once. Like it's hitting them all at once. It hasn't done that yet, but when it does that, that's when you guys need to be concerned. Okay, and that's why I'm saying get the canned food and really, get the salt and all of that just to prepare to just stay at home. Because let me tell you, while you're healing and doing the J juice, it's just not fun. Obviously it's not fun, but it's going to be hard to really see what's going to happen. But yeah, we will survive this. Okay, we will survive this. It's just a matter of understand the reality and the magnitude, and that viruses do talk to each other. They do influence, and the coronavirus will influence your predispositions. It will influence everything. And if you have a very strong body, you'll go into a mucus type of a leaking. You'll be like pouring mucus out of your body and coughing, but you won't sustain any, really aggressive attacks. But you will have to get that mucus out. You can't let it stay in. So with the J juice, if you are doing the J juice and you're healing and you're dealing with the coronavirus exposure, yeah, you gotta basically deal with getting this all done, all taken care of, your alimentary canal, which is from your mouth all the way to your butt and all the different organs and systems in between, and then also release the mucus that the coronavirus is going to sustain. Because I'll tell you what, if you don't do J juice, it'll be that much harder. And I can't imagine when someone's dealing with something like the coronavirus or any other issue, trying to do J juice in the fog of your mind, when you have a splitting headache, when your body is just so racked with pain and muscles are contracting. I mean, that's kind of the symptoms, it's pneumonia-like symptoms and muscle pain and muscle contractions, and it doesn't sound like an enjoyable experience at all. So if yeah, you get on, I mean, those of you on the J juice, that's most likely what you'll experience. Hopefully if you do feel some kind of mucus attack, you can just get it out before it really, messes with your healing process. But it's not going to hurt it. It's just that you're going to have to support your body with an extra thing that's in the environment. Okay, so it's just, I don't know, man. It's crazy. But yes, viruses do talk to each other. They influence each other, and that makes sense how they kind of lie wait, like just like in guerrilla warfare, the art of war. They lay waiting, just kind of chilling out. I mean, like I have my trolls. I know they're waiting for my book to get published before they go and try to pirate it in some way and slam it in some way. And I'm aware of that. So, don't be complacent, okay? Always just find ways to protect yourself and know that no matter what, you always have to be strong. As soon as you get complacent and get too comfortable is when something else wants to take over. And that's just the way the world works. That's just the way the body works. If you don't stay on the J juice and stay on the healing process and really take it seriously, some other entity is going to come in and try to take over, and you can't let that happen. That's why you have to be so diligent on the J juice. You can't get too comfortable or too complacent. You can't be like, oh yeah, I healed this one thing and that's all I need to do. No, you got a whole lot more. I'm here on my 4th year. It'll be exactly 4 years in October this year. Okay? And I haven't triggered my period yet. I'm still waiting for it since Christmas time. Okay? So it's February 5th, no period. So I'm pretty much thinking I'm confirmed my theory about if you're 100% well, you wouldn't trigger menses. Okay, well, we'll see. Every day, every day is a new day, so we'll see. I could make a liar out of me tomorrow, but right now, at this point, I confirm my theory. I haven't had my period. Don't feel I have gonna get it. My body's working at its most optimal. It processes food, even the most aggressive food. Like I had fried chicken yesterday, and I had a hamburger yesterday, and I had some mashed potatoes yesterday, and a few little those wafer cookie things. Okay, now it's off the protocol, but remember, when you're on maintenance status, you can eat whatever the hell you want because your body is going to be that efficient in processing everything. And you know, when you have fried chicken, and there's leftovers from my friend's house who has the flu right now, dealing with it. So I'm like, I mean, if anything, I'm going to be stronger from, you know, any virus exposure or any bacteria exposure. But I had fried chicken, I had a hamburger, and those are pretty heavy, aggressive, oil-rich, you know, fatty and acidic food, and my body was able to process it this morning like awesome. And the reason why I say that there's no red meat on the protocol is because it is highly acidic for bodies that are already acidic and highly imbalanced. So I don't want to compound your problem by you still eating your red meat, okay, when you already have major imbalances in your acids, especially trying to get the excess red meat that you had, like, you know, a couple of years ago, they're still stuck in your colon. So that's why in the beginning you stay away from red meat. It's only really chicken, okay, and raw fruits, or raw fruits and then vegetables and all that stuff, and you'll see it in the book. But I mean, that's why the diet is the way it is temporarily in the beginning, so that way it gives your body a rest and you're able to drink the jade juice and clean it out and repair the cells and not tax it too much with really heavy items that are really advanced data packs, but later on you could take advantage of those advanced data packs. But right now, in the beginning of jade juice, before you actually heal and seal, you need to really go easy on your system. Okay, you know, you really need to go easy on your system. So so that's why the jade juice protocol is the way it is because it wants you to relax on some of the foods so your body is able to repair the damage from the weaknesses, because you're always going to be exposed to viruses and new ones, no matter what, whether this is a bioweapon or it's something organic, or when, you know, the glaciers are melting and now these new viruses are coming into the environment. Remember, we've had a lot of geographical history. Earth has been going through so many stages of just evolution that when we go through the ice age and the global warming and ice age, and it's just all these fluctuations, and you can blame it on humans, or you can blame it on just the cycles of the universe, whatever. Okay, there were giants of the past. There are stories around that, biblical stories around that, and then when I'm sure the environment changed and the ice age came in, I'm sure it took down certain types of populations and modified the genome. And so it makes you wonder if with these viruses that potentially could be being released, as well as being released like in glaciers, that it's going to change the genome once again. So we're going through a very major evolutionary event that may have been triggered, yes, by man, but it's going to happen anyways. These viruses have been around forever. We're just taking the base virus like a coronavirus, and then humans anyways that are sick are going to mutate it, but you also can engineer it. No different than engineering a food or making a calculator to do a certain thing. You know, this was actually elements that look nothing like this. So viruses could be engineered to look like and be like anything in the world, and they could be totally deadly on a weak body, or it can make someone so advanced on a strong body. But your body is the determining factor. So that's why you have so much fear in this world around viruses, because bodies are so weak. And of course, scientists are coming from a weak perspective because they're just as weak as you are. I mean, that's why they're wearing all the protective clothing, because they don't want to get infected. So anyway, so what would happen if you are so strong and you're exposed to all these viruses in the permafrost, in the glaciers, these bioweapons that are being released potentially from biowarfare? It could actually evolve you and jump you up to the next level of evolution, or on a weak body, systematically degrade you, or you be skipping a major flight of stairs and you're down here. So this coronavirus is going to either upgrade people or downgrade, and most likely it's going to downgrade most people out there because their bodies are that weak. We've been so used to being protected with modern medicine to come in and give you that stay of execution. We have been so protected to do that. to have that. But we haven't really been introduced to an aggressive virus, whether it's man-made or whether it's from Mother Nature, just finally having those viruses come to surface. No different than on a body that's weak. Mother Nature, when it has imbalances, she will always balance herself out. But in the meantime, while she's going through her fluctuations of imbalances, viruses and things come to surface. No different than in your body. When you have things laying dormant in your body, just like that thing about the bacteria that I just read to you, it's going to come to surface and it's going to make its presence known. So when someone has been exposed to, let's say, the herpes or the human papilloma, they've been exposed to it, but they're asymptomatic and they're not testing positive for it. But then one day they are, 10 years later, they start getting all of these different symptoms. Well, it wasn't like your partner gave it to you right then and there, or that last girlfriend you had gave it to you. No, it's been in your body. It was just laying dormant. And then the weaknesses triggered it to come to surface and then rear its ugly head. And then inflammation happens because then more antibodies get produced because of the weaknesses. And then that's when you start seeing systematic degradation. And then it leads to cancer. Cancer is like the major red flag letting you know that you have weaknesses that the virus is capitalizing on. Okay? So no different than what I just read to you. Viruses do talk to each other. They scan the environment. They lay dormant when the body is strong, but when the body is weak, it comes to surface. No different than on Earth. When Earth was strong, you didn't see so much devastation. I mean, we had people compartmentalized in different continents. It's now with this whole global tourism and everything, where we're all back and forth and people are just doing whatever the hell they want. They don't care, have no care in the world. And then somebody, nefarious persons or Mother Nature, decided to create something to try to control populations. And yeah, I mean, man is like Mother Nature. Man is actually a representation of Mother Nature through the different, spectrums of life and death. So if man wants to play God like Mother Nature, he's just doing it preemptively. He wouldn't do it if your bodies weren't, he wouldn't be successful if bodies were strong. See, you can play with viruses and make them deadly, but on a strong body, it's not going to make a difference. You'll adapt very quickly. It's the weak bodies that are going to then adversely be reactive, have adverse reactions to someone playing with bacteria. So these labs that are playing with deadly bacteria know it's deadly because they have 7 billion weak-ass people. But imagine if you have 7 billion strong people who weren't reproducing, who weren't dying, who didn't have any predispositions, that lab wouldn't be deadly. It would be an evolution lab instead of a de-evolution lab. See, that's how you have to look at all of this. So no matter what, this is Mother Nature finally saying, okay, I'm going to keep the balance. And if you are strong, you'll survive and deal with all of this. If you're weak, you're going to be afraid and you're going to want to be quarantined. You're going to want to find a way to not be in contact with anyone that looks like they're sick. But remember, they're saying that this virus gets passed around when you're asymptomatic. Okay? So when you're asymptomatic, people don't know who it is they're mixing with or what. And no matter what, you can't live in a bubble. So either it's like you adapt to the environment regardless, or you will pass away. Okay? And so I'm trying to get out that the J juice is not a cure. It's not going to kill any virus. Okay? And you can't kill a virus, but it's going to strengthen your body to be able to fix the weaknesses and get out any excess data that the body cannot handle or need at the moment. So when I was exposed to a new virus in my environment, never got it tested because why would I? I had no reason to. I have J juice and I have my immune system. But when I was attacked by a virus for 24 hours, that my husband saw me, he was like, what the hell? That is my body strong enough to cough everything out. The mucus was pouring, all of that. That's how you have to know how to adapt to a new environment, is to understand what your body is supposed to do. Okay? You're always going to be exposed to viruses. New ones are going to come up the way the weather is, no matter if somebody is modifying it or someone's bioengineering some kind of virus in a lab. I don't care what it is. You're going to have to adapt to whatever those conditions are. So in a lot of ways, you know, depopulation is really, it's Mother Nature. And man may be the catalyst, but it's going to happen anyways. Because yes, I mean, man is getting tired of all the bullshit. Mother Nature's getting tired of all the bullshit. Your body's getting tired of all the bullshit, and it's going to revolt. So it's not a matter of it bad that we have a depopulation agenda, which people are saying, oh yeah, I don't think the elite, I mean, they're not evil. The elite aren't evil. People are like, oh yeah, it's a depopulation agenda. Well, you know what? Mother Nature is going to do it anyways. It's just a matter of time for most of you. You're going down a road that's pretty predictable. They're just accelerating the process because it's just, there's just too much chaos going on right now. There's a lot of chaos going on right now. Now, I mean, would they want to hurt themselves? Probably not, because if you can't control a virus, it's not only going to hurt the people that they're trying to control, but also them. They don't want to die. I mean, Trump and Jared and Ivanka and Melania and Rockefeller and all these people, they're just as weak as you are, if not weaker. They live in a gilded cage under, you know, the impression that modern medicine is going to help them through. But if they're that weak, they get exposed to a coronavirus type of thing, they're going to be taken down just like you are. They're no different. So no matter what, Mother Nature is going to trump whatever man does. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of money you have. I don't care what kind of belief system you have. Mother Nature will always trump whatever man does. And so now you have to be as smart as Mother Nature and know how to harness the right elements to be strong enough to withstand the fluctuations. Because there's going to be. You know, and I've made my mistakes the last 3 years trying to do all my research. I've offended some people, and I completely apologize for those. But when you're early on in the research and you're trying to figure out, you know, what reproduction is, sexual orientation, all of that stuff, and you're going through that research process, you have to explore and tear apart everything. If not, if you don't address and tear apart everything, you'll never get to the root of the matter. Okay, and then you bring in politics along with it. Oh my God. But now we've come to the point where if you're dying and reproducing, you are adding the weaknesses in the society that warrant vaccines that are going to make you afraid of the viruses. And so now we're introducing a whole different type of thought process that if we stop reproducing, we stop dying, we will stop major communicable deadly viruses because the bodies are going to be that strong. They're not going to succumb to some kind of aggressive entity in the environment, because that's what a virus is, a new one on a population that's not used to or been introduced to it. It's like a new entity. It's like when you guys have like your own little clique and some outsider comes in and wants to go in and integrate, and you don't know who this person is, people will haze them. People will reject them. Some people are wary of new people, of new information, of new viruses. And you should be, but strong people will let them in and hang out with them and show them what an awesome person they are and what an awesome group they are and vet them out. A weak person will go and bully them, reject them, talk smack to them. And that's exactly what's going on right now. You guys know there's a new virus in the environment. People are dying. You guys are all afraid because you're not strong enough to introduce this virus to the environment and bring it in a nice way because your bodies are that weak. You won't withstand the exposure or the introduction. I will talk to anybody, but I also know there's nefarious people out there. So my scanners and my radar is up. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I don't get too close, but I don't get too far away either. And I do that for a reason. Because there is where, you know, I have my good friends, people that I trust, and then there are people that I'm like, okay, you know, I don't know you very well, but I will definitely give you this opportunity and I want you to do well for yourself and let's make this world better. So, you know, to be strong enough to work with people and to learn somebody new and to learn a new idea is really what the world needs, is the strength to be able to embrace new things that are not illegal, that are not violating the laws of the body or society and also have some boundaries. However, we have a society that right now is very intolerant of a lot of things, and that comes from the weaknesses. Okay, and so I was watching the State of the Union address last night, and it was just so obvious that we definitely do have a lot of weaknesses in our society. I mean, we have, you know, the Democrats and we have the Republicans, and we have so many just intolerance on either end. And when it's going to chill out, well, we shall see. Not anytime soon. We have 7 billion people to figure out. But this coronavirus is taking out a lot of people. And I hope you're not one of them. But if you do the J juice and you understand that it's not just going to like cure you or stop the pain, it's going to support your body to get the crap out of your system that doesn't belong, repair the damage that you sustained forever, and then hopefully you will strengthen your body and reverse the aging process. I'm 46 years old. No, I don't have to work out and be like a J-Lo and shake my ass in front of the world, but I would say that I worked my ass off to get where I am today, and it didn't cost that much except for my time and abuse from everybody out there who doesn't understand. But I definitely worked my ass off to look this way, because I think I look great for exactly where I came from. And you guys all have that as a possibility, an opportunity, you know. But I mean, now it's coming down to the line. Some of you will survive this new aggressive virus in the environment, and some of you won't. Some of you will really be taken down another level. Okay. And so I just hope that you guys take the J juice seriously. Okay. But yes, viruses do influence each other. The whole, you know, the aggressive influenza pandemic, I'm sure it's triggered by the coronavirus in the environment. It triggers the predispositions. If there's a major flu bug in the environment, yes, the coronavirus is going to talk to the body and figure out how best to attack the person. Because that's what viruses do. They scan the environment and they either make you stronger or they find the weaknesses and they capitalize on it. And that's exactly what that article that I read is, that the virus, when it talks to it, it looks at the chemical messages that their forebears left behind. And if the chemical messages says that there's a weakness over here, weakness over here, weakness over here, then it's like going into the situation room and figure out a plan of attack to strategically attack the host. And if you have major predispositions, you've been exposed to that virus, it's already trying to figure out the plan of attack, because you're going to feel it in some way, whether it's fatigue, whether it's stuffy nose, whether it's some kind of flu bug, whether it's who knows, whether it's a heart attack, a stroke, an aneurysm, or triggering autoimmunity, or who knows what. I mean, just watching my friends on Facebook going like, oh my God, I had to go to the hospital for this. Oh my God, I had to go to the hospital for that. Oh my God, we're sick with this, we're sick with that. It's not a coincidence. Okay, it's not a coincidence. Everything is connected. That's what you have to understand with the J juice. Everything is connected. You know, you have the periodic tables with all the elements. Then you have biodiversity made up of 4 things. Okay, everything can be broken down to elements, into compound elements, and then to acids and hormones and minerals, which are elements. Okay, so when you break everything down to elements and acids and hormones and minerals, then you start seeing how the body's supposed to work. Then you start seeing what it is you have to do to get everything calibrated correctly, what you have to go through. And there's just layers and layers of information that you have to understand. So yeah, so viruses will evolve us or devolve us. So that's why I'm like, dude, you know, if they have a mandatory vaccine, I'll get it. I look forward to it because it's only going to enhance me. It's not going to degrade me. Those are afraid of vaccines because they have a weak body. Now, if they're going to inject me with, you know, the what is it? When people go on death row, they inject me with those type of things, yeah, you're gonna die. But these vaccines aren't those death row injections. All right. So, but I doubt that they're going to do mandatory vaccines for adults. I doubt it. I just got my driver's license. But hey, and it's only good for 4 years. So in the next 4 years, they could have a mandatory vaccine, you know, in order for me to get my contingent upon me getting my driver's license type of thing. Or, yeah. So, but at this point, you know, I can go to a hospital, roll around and, you know, roll around on the floor, lick the floor if I want to, and I would get all the data in that hospital, and then I would be fine. I'd be that much stronger. So yeah, it makes you wonder if all of these viruses that are in the permafrost that took down the dinosaurs, and why we don't have giants today. Because there are a few giants out there, not giant, like maybe there's people like 7, 8, like the basketball players. But I mean, talk about like, you know, 15 feet tall giants. But maybe these viruses were the key to why it is that we had giant trees, giant shrubbery, giant insects, giant people. And then you have an upset of homeostasis in the environment, and then it modified the genome and biodiversity to make it much smaller. But who knows if we're into another evolutionary event? We are. Okay, so you know, we don't know what is normal. We don't know what to expect in the future. We know that there's shifts in the environment, and can you adapt? Will you evolve or will you devolve? That's what it comes down to. Evolution or de-evolution. Most of you that are not doing the JJUICE, actually all of you that are not doing the JJUICE are on a de-evolution scale. Those of you that are doing the JJUICE and stick with it, you're on an evolutionary scale. Sky is the fucking limit. But if you're not going to do the JJUICE, then you'll have a predictable outcome, just like your predecessors. Look at your parents, look at your grandparents, look at your brother and sister. Looping, de-evolution. But hey, you can accomplish a lot, you know, in 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, maybe if you're lucky, 100. But your accomplishments in a century is like nothing. It's like barely scratches the surface on what is really possible for humanity. Now, collectively, yeah, maybe your brain and someone else's brain, but it's like, why be that little insignificant thing? Why can't you be a significant thing? So that's just something to think about. And, you know, the Bible and Passover, like the angel of death and all of that, the viruses are like that. The angel of death, the angel of life. If you have what it takes to adapt to the environment, the virus won't take you down. If you don't have what it takes to handle the new environment, forget it. It'll be down a notch and down a notch and down a notch. And so all of you deserve to have some opportunity to be able to see if you have what it takes to make it to the next evolutionary change. But you have to work for it. It's not given to you by medicine or herbal remedies. No. Somebody was saying, I think John Oakes, he's from the UK. He was saying that tree viruses or tree diseases, what they do is they put it in like cold temperature to kill the disease. And then that's how it's able to survive or something. But I'm like, you know, when you put a body like cryotherapy, or when you put a tree in a really cold temperature type of thing, yeah, I could see it stagnate. I mean, but here's the thing. You know, every season we have winter, spring, summer, fall. So that's a looping thing. That's no different than a human: winter, spring, summer, fall, reproduction and death, right? So when you have, so let's say it's warm all year round. Let's say there's no ice age. It's warm all year round. The growth is exponential. Okay, when you keep your body at a certain level of degrees and keeping all the minerals and all the biochemistry perfect, the growth is exponential. The evolution is exponential. But if you're combating disease with very extreme temperatures, whether it's high heat or low or really cold, then all you're doing is keeping in a very specific homeostasis, and then reproduction happens, and the trees drop seeds, and it emulates the parent, and it goes through the same cycle unless the environment changes. If they stop putting the tree in a cold climate and they put it in a different climate where it's much more like between 65 and 72 degrees, and it stays at the temperature level for a long time, for like years and years and years, how much growth can that tree go? But right now with Ohio, when you have trees, trees that grow, yes, but their growth is stagnated every single time winter hits. So maybe they could be, maybe they could, but but the disease also takes trees down too. So what would happen if the trees were stronger in a more of where they were given a type of food with an environment that is amazing? Could they actually keep growing and growing and growing? Now there's some trees that live better in colder climates, and then other trees that do better in warmer climates. But what if we had a most amazing environment where trees could now be like the giants of the past? Hey, Jacqueline. So it's one of those things that you have to, just like when you guys get cancer, right, and you get chemotherapy, well, you're definitely not growing, you're definitely stagnating and going lesser and lesser and lesser. Okay, so what would happen if you actually treated cancer with the right elements that allowed exponential growth, not exponential death? Because when you apply chemotherapy, cannabis, all of those types of herbal remedies, you are actually stagnating growth. You are killing off growth. Okay, so what would happen if you actually fed the body correctly, gave it what it needs, and you had exponential growth, and the body released the bad stuff, kept the good stuff? What would be totally possible? No different than a tree in the right environment that didn't have to deal with harsh winters. And so it could keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And there wasn't disease. And if there was, there wouldn't be any disease, because it would have the right environment to balance out the new viruses, because trees get viruses or fungus or bacteria. And so when you have an imbalance in the fungus and an imbalance in the environment with all these different things, that's what probably stagnates the tree growth. Okay, so it's just there's so many possibilities to understand why it is that back then there was giants of the past, and why there's viruses stuck in the permafrost, and that we're going to be seeing some changes in the evolutionary scale, and you're going to have to adapt, and sky's the limit. So these are the things that I think about when I read all your guys' stuff. And then I'm like, with this whole J juice, man, it's like potential is unlimited. And thanks, Jacqueline. Happy birthday. Woohoo. But potential is unlimited. It is unlimited. And so, but we're going to have to ride out these turbulent times. And it's not going to be easy for a lot of you. But if we can just understand the potential, understand what it is you're in for, and it's going to be an amazing thing if you stick with it. As far as the J juice, who's to say? Who's to say? I don't know, man. But I'm excited. I'm excited by the amount of data, because I don't like death. That's why I do the J juice. That's why I want to give you all the J juice. I don't like death. But all of this upset of homeostasis is the next evolutionary jump. This coronavirus is this novel coronavirus, regardless of where it came from. I don't care whether it's from man or from nature. Man is nature, okay? Those are two of the same thing. It's our next evolutionary jump. And you got to stick with it, you guys, with the J juice. You've got to stick with it. I need you guys in the future. I need you guys now. Okay? You got to stick with it. Stick with the J juice. I don't mind seeing people loop, but I see my family loop. I see my friends loop. A dog dies, I get a new dog. This dies, I get a new thing. It's that looping of life and death on a very macro scale. What would happen if you could actually keep a dog indefinitely? Like I have my dog, I love her to death. What she would die from would be a freak accident, if anything. She wouldn't die from natural causes, because I keep her body so perfect, because I take care of her. Okay? So, you know, what would happen if you didn't have to die from cancer, disease, and chronic illness? What could be possible for you? And then what could be possible for humanity? And I can't even picture what the future is going to be like if we have 500 million people very, 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 very strong and very well. If the Georgia Guidestones are any indicator of future. But you all have the opportunity to do J-Juice. You do. Nobody doesn't have the opportunity. You just have to get out of your own way and stop being triggered by my old freaking videos from Dr. Phil. Last night, I got an email from a kid, a Pikachu type of kid, who was just saying the most terrible things. And I'm like, oh my Lord. I'm like, dude, I'm going to forward this to the FBI for one. And number two, you shouldn't be making death threats through email. And number three, I never said this. And then he goes, well, you said something about Dr. Phil. I'm like, oh yeah, but you know what? There was an evolution in my thought process. I was exploring things that, okay, it was a little offensive. I totally apologize if I've offended you, whatever. I didn't say whatever. And I'm sorry you had to see that. But I was going through my own research, my own whatever. And now we don't know what normal is. There's biological constructs and there is sociological constructs. And right now, the sociological constructs is what's dictating, is what's causing the division, because the biological construct is biological. There is no meaning, no politics around biology. It is what it is. Either you can make a baby or not. I don't care what you're supposed, I don't care all the other crap. Okay? But that's what I explained to him last night through emails. Like, okay, I apologize for that specific thing on Dr. Phil. It's a biological and a sociological construct. And we don't know what normal is as far as reproduction. But if you can make a baby, great. If you can't, well, it doesn't matter. You can still make a baby. Either you carry it or you contribute to it. And that's it. And stop making death threats through email, because it's a federal offense. And don't contact me again. Haven't heard from him. But that's the thing, is that, you know, when you're going through an evolutionary thought process, you're going to make mistakes. But you always own up to it. And then you move on to the next thing. If you acknowledge your mistakes of the past and then you correct the ones, it's when people make the same mistake over and over and over again, and it happens in generations. It happens in generations. And so the whole thing with the J-Juice is to then throw a monkey wrench in the looping of the same generational mistakes, and maybe we could see what's possible for people if they actually strengthen their body. And then who knows what's available. Okay, so but that's, yeah, why I went there is because I don't know why I went, but I went there because introducing any new idea to an environment that is so used to looping in the same ideas, people get offended. They don't want to hear possibility. They rather just stick with what they know. Okay, fine, but what you know is pretty predictable. You can't determine the time frame. People think, oh yeah, you know, I think with this situation I can buy me 5 years, 10 years. You don't know what the hell you're buying when it comes to biotech. You buy yourself a few days or a few years, maybe a few decades, but you have no idea. You have so many predispositions and you can't control the environment out there. So the whole thing with the J-Juice is to be able to control your environment despite what goes on out there. Control your inner environment, but you have to be able to do the work. And so, you know, I want everyone, I don't care who you are, to have that possibility, but you have to do the work. You have to know that it's going to be painful in the healing process. You have to know that maybe you might have a change in your desires. Who knows? You may have a less desire. You may have a different desire. I have no idea. I can't predict what the outcome is for you as a person. I know I still am attracted to my husband. Now, do I want to go and bang all the time? No. Yes, obviously. But no, I am like, you know, I don't have that need like I used to. But then I'm not getting my period either. So I'm not needing to procreate. I'm not needing to drop seeds. I'm not needing to mitigate extinction because I'm my best self. That's what I want to put out there. But back then, Dr. Phil, I was trying to figure out reproduction, trying to figure out what's supposed to be, still caught up in the biological, sociological concepts or constructs, caught up more in the political, sociological than the biological, then realized that it doesn't matter if you claim to be man or woman. If you have the ability to make a baby and have a baby, you're freaking normal. And that's it. How you make the baby, I don't really care, as long as it's legal and it's not violating, the law. Okay. So yeah, so what I'm introducing is the fact that yes, you're going to have changes in your biochemistry. And if you're not prepared to have a new thought process in your environment, in your world, then you're going to have a very predictable future that you will not have any control over. There may be indicators that you may have more life than somebody else based upon what your current biochemistry is and your predispositions. But you really don't know when something is going to trigger based upon your predispositions. And you don't want to live where you're wondering if this one virus or this one thing is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Who wants to live in that kind of uncertainty? I want to have certainty in the areas that I have control over. I know I don't have certainty in things that I can control. So I just let whatever, who cares? I'll just roll with the punches. But what I want to be certain in is my survival, my own biochemistry, not dictated by somebody else. I control my dog's biochemistry. If I were to give her to somebody else, she would die probably within 5 years because they would give her crappy food. They wouldn't give her the J juice. And she would deteriorate. I will not let that happen to my dog as long as I'm alive. But that's the thing that you have to take control over your body. You have to be the one to dictate everything with your body, but you have to know the right elements. You have to understand what mucus is. You have to understand what pain is. You have to understand what symptoms are. And if you don't, and if you are so afraid that you're going to die and you don't understand the J juice, then you should never be doing J juice because J juice is not poisonous. That's the biggest thing, the hardest thing to get across to people is to understand that the salt and the minerals, the electrolytes, and the sodium chloride and the glucose that's like in the protocol, because you get fruit sugar from the diet and carbs from the diet, right? It's all in the freaking IV bags. You go to the hospital, you guess what's in there? It's freaking electrolytes and glucose. That's what electrolytes are. That's what these IV bags, the fluids are. Fluids are electrolytes and glucose. Okay? Minerals. But then you get, guess what? Then you get the micro and macronutrition in the J juice. You get nutrients that are basically broken down by what? Lactobacillus. Lactobacillus takes the cabbage and the kale and eats it up and poops out the vitamins, which is basically hormones. And these hormones then dictate how then your hormones inside get expressed because it's nutrition. That's what nutrition is. It's how they interact with your hormones. Okay, vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, and G is basically hormones. When people take vitamin D therapy, they're taking hormone replacement therapy. When they're taking melatonin, they're doing hormone replacement therapy. That is a no-no. The J juice gives you a balance of water, electrolytes. You don't get the glucose in the J juice, but you get it in the diet. You get the probiotic, the lactic acid that breaks down the food so your body can absorb it. Because what it is, the water and the electrolytes and all that stuff then goes through the cells that are semi-permeable and it washes the cells, it electrifies, it wakes it up, and then you're in pain. Oh, and you might have an event. Some people have felt like they had a heart attack on the J juice. They went to the doctor, all the tests were normal, their sodium levels were normal, their EKG was normal, but the reason why they felt they had a heart attack was because the body is trying to heal. Every single time you get a heart attack or a stroke with predispositions, the body is trying to heal and defibrillate itself. And if you don't have enough electrolytes, if you don't have enough nutrition in your body, you will die from a heart attack or a stroke or an aneurysm. But if you do the J juice and you're getting in the nutrients, hey Emily, and you're getting in the electrolytes and you're getting in the probiotics, the lactic acid and the water and the food from the protocol, you're actually supporting your body. And then you're getting the mucus out. You're not trying to dry up the mucus with Mucinex and Dayquil and NyQuil, and you allow the body to release the excess because most of you have been suppressing that mucus, drying up, and guess what's in the mucus? It's antibodies that your body needs to release. Antibodies is what kills the body. When you have an overaccumulation of antibodies, it destroys your vital organs, it destroys all of your systems on a very gradual and then accelerated level relative to then where you are on that spectrum of the death spectrum, as well as your belief systems. So when you allow the body to release the excess antibodies, the mucus flow, and you do the waterfalls, and you allow the body to actually wake up and heal, guess what? You're going to be in a very different place. You're actually going to get your life back. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to deal with any of that, and you're afraid of the J juice, don't even bother looking at the J juice. If you don't have a support in your family, if they're so afraid of the J juice, forget it. You are not going to do the J juice, because they will flip the fuck out. And you know they will. And so that's why I trip out, because I'm like, you know, I want to give this to people, but if their family is not on board, there's no way I'm going to say, nope, I'm not going to help you through this. You're going to have to do it, and you're going to have to get your family to actually make the juice and to read the book and to understand I am not going to help anybody personally with the J juice. Because then guess what? If you don't understand something, guess what? Guess what? They're going to blame me. So even with people that I'm close to, I want to help people, but if I get involved at all personally around the J juice with them, they would have someone to blame if it didn't go the way they expected. And so now, that's why I say now it's up to every single person to either take on their life personally and read my book, understand the information, and also talk to their loved ones that are supporting them. And if they're not on board, you should not be doing it unless you're strong enough to go and get the cabbage water and salt and do it, and you're in touch with your doctor. But I was thinking about like that, like, you know, I really, you know, there's people, because I know that we're facing a coronavirus event. There are people in my world that would love for me, who knows, that maybe want me to help them. I don't know. I have no idea. But and this is all for you guys too. You have people in your life that want you to help them. They're like, oh yeah, Emily, or oh yeah, Jacqueline, you know, come help me with this, you know. And then if something doesn't go right, guess who they're going to? They're going to you, like, ooh, you got me into this, you hurt me, you did this to me. Do not put yourself in any position where someone can blame you for anything. As soon as you start making the juice for someone, as soon as you start advising them and being on the phone call with them and telling them what to do and what to expect and all this other stuff, you have put yourself in a fucked up position, a position to where someone could blame you. Do not do that. This is an individual protocol, an individual process that either you're going to make it or you're going to break it. But you have to know what you're in for. I mean, you got to know what you're in for anyways. And so either you're going to have enough moxie, enough resolve to say, okay, I want to live. I'm going to make it. I'm going to get Jillian's book. I'm going to give her, you know, the receipt. You know, I'll add you into my group. There's a video on how to make the J juice. So it shows you step by step. You don't need anyone babysitting you. You can just do it yourself. You make your mistakes and you correct them. And you do a little bit at a time. And then you stay on the diet. You take your medications, of course. You do whatever the doctor tells you, but you take a little bit at a time. You'll understand you're going to see a jump up in your blood pressure because, yes, you're taking in an energizing force called the freaking salt that's supposed to energize and wake up your body, or, hey, why don't you just die? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Okay? And then you gradually get on the protocol. It's freaking fermented cabbage juice. It's damn sauerkraut juice. That's all it is. People think this is something so extraordinary, freaking poisonous, and they're facing freaking coronavirus that's going to scan their system and take them down. They don't realize to what extent the danger they're really in by not doing the J juice. But can I tell them that? No. Can I convince their family or their relatives? No. They've watched the Dr. Phil show. They've watched all my trolls completely tear me apart. You think they're really going to really just embrace this open arms? Oh, hell no. It takes a special person to understand the J juice and to see through the bullshit out there. Not everyone's going to see through the bullshit. And so that's why 7 billion people are going to be whittled down to who knows how many. So anyways, there's my little motivational speech for the day. But I definitely have a purpose in this life. I definitely do. I know what it is, but I also know what I'm up against. And that's why, you know, I'm not a doctor, because doctors have malpractice insurance. Doctors treat symptom. Doctors try to stop the pain. Doctors will try to give you an intermediary, a stay of execution, if you have enough in your body to be able to sustain the stay of execution. But no, I'm giving you a whole different outlook, a whole different way to look at strengthening your body to where you never have to deal with whatever issue you've been dealing with. But you have to do the work, and you have to understand, and your family has to understand. And if they don't even bother, because they will work against you. Don't even bother considering my information, because they will work against you. Emily goes, some people think I'm nuts, but they are seeing changes in me and they are astounded. Yeah. But that's the thing. People have to do it and stay on it. People they love the JJs, but they're not doing it. So their family and friends can't even see the freaking changes. So they're like, they're not going to make a believer out of their friends and family. But the fact that you're doing it and you're staying on it and they're seeing the changes is going to make a believer out of them. Okay? It's going to, and that's the thing, is that when people say that they say one thing, they do another, it pisses me off. They're not representation of JJs. But if you're doing the JJs and they see the changes, that's when they're going to realize that maybe there's something to this. And so it's going to be the hardest for those that like my information, but they have zero support in their world. And I'm not going to be that support like that, because I'm not going to be the fall guy. I want to help people, but I'm not going to be the fall guy for, if things don't go correctly. Oh, it's Jillian's fault. Because I know that's exactly what will happen to me if I help anybody, even in my personal world. I will be the fall guy, and I refuse to be that. And you guys do not be the fall guy for anyone in your world. You be the example and you step the fuck away. Seriously, you be the example and you step away. Because let me tell you, someone will try to blame you for something. All right? And that's what I've learned. Those are one of the biggest takeaways in the J Juice world, is that people want you to help them, but they want to also blame you when it doesn't go correctly. And that ain't going to happen. So, so that's something that I really had to, that was in my mind the last couple of days about that, because I know with this coronavirus, and then I have a lot of people in my world that are going to be facing some shit once it hits, or if it already hit them, I don't know. But once you get hit by any kind of virus and you have predispositions, you're taken down a notch. Okay? And that's a hard thing to face. And so, everybody wants to get well, but do they have what it takes to get well? Do they have enough of what it takes? Do they have a support system to help them get well? And I'll tell you, a lot of families will actually cause their family members to pass away because they will not support them in something. So that means that you have to be strong enough to do the J Juice and to shut them up and to get a doctor's okay. And if you're not, but I'm not gonna advise anybody in my personal world. I thought about it, but I'm not going to. I gave my book to somebody in one of Jason's friends. Will he do it? I don't know. I'm not going to walk him through it. They have the group. They have the book. They've seen my videos. He might be strong enough to do it. He might not be. I don't know. But, this is where the rubber meets the road for most people. Okay? This is where the rubber meets the road. And it's unfortunate it has to come to this, but, at some point you're going to have to face everything. If you want to change, if you want to live. If you want to die, then it doesn't even matter. Just do whatever the hell you do. Stay on the same course. Hopefully you eke out for a few 10 years or whatever. But with the way this environment's going with the damn coronavirus thing, but it may have already hit, I mean, I got an attack a couple weeks ago, so I, got to another level. Everybody else is getting stuff triggered, triggering their stomach flus and triggering all these things. But viruses do talk to each other, just like people talk to each other. People with different viruses at the surface talk to each other and hang out together. Okay, viruses is what controls the being. Ghosts are basically acid, basically DNA and RNA, not involved, but just the spirit. The spirit is hormones. Okay. So when you have hormones that are looping and looping and looping, you're going to find like-minded people that can keep reinforcing your loopiness until you pass away. Yeah, you can accomplish a lot of things looping in the same stuff, but you have a very predictable life. So now it's just like sky's the limit for all of you. If you do the JJ, sky's the freaking limit. But you have to withstand the aggressive environment. And so that's why I've been posting a lot of stuff about the coronavirus on my Facebook, because you got to see how intense this shit is. The environment's getting more aggressive. You've got to be able to withstand it. You have to. Or yeah. And that's one of the scariest things that a couple of years ago, I was like, I don't want to die. I don't want to be degrading the way I am. PMDD was destroying me. So I fought for my life. I fought for my belief system. I fought for new information. I fought against my government. I fought against Dr. Phil. I fought against all my trolls. I still fight against my trolls. I fight against a lot of things, but that's part of life, is that you fight for your life. You don't fucking roll over and die. And that's what sucks when I watch people just completely destroy themselves over and over and over again. And they're looping in the same stuff over and over, and they're looping in their traumas. When I'm reading their Facebook, it's like, oh my God, I get so depressed watching people's Facebook, because they loop and they loop and they loop and they loop, and they can't get out of their own fucking way. And I just like, and so that's why I have a group. When I have a group, it's for you guys to express how wonderful the J Juice is. Give people something to work with. You guys are not very active in my group because you're trying to private message me. And I'm like, dude, don't private message me. Take it to the group. If you're afraid of trolls coming after you, then okay, fine. But I don't want to be this person you're going to be like, expressing everything about the J Juice. Use it in the group. Use your community. People need to see that people are doing it. I have 385 people, or 344, whatever, 300 something people in my group. There's a few that are active a bit, but not a lot of you. But that's okay. People are trying to protect themselves from trolls, and they don't want to get private messages, and I understand that too. But at some point, you have to, you got to be strong enough at some point. So do the J Juice. But, I don't understand why you keep it under wraps anyways. Who cares? People say shit all the time. I deal with freaking trolls all the time. But get help from your community. If you need support, use the group as support. That's the place to get support. There's no private secret meeting you can have where nobody knows except for a handful, because even a handful of people, you have no idea their intentions. Who's the infiltrator? Who's the troll? At some point, just be proud that you're doing J Juice and put yourself out there. Even just saying, hey, I'm doing the juice. It's doing great. I love it. Okay? There is nothing wrong with coming out that you're doing J Juice. If you want to send me a testimony because it's private, do that. Send me a private message with a testimony, or an email with a testimony. If you just want to express views about J Juice, how much you love it, then take it to the group, because other people want to hear that too. I already know the J Juice is great. I don't love it all the time, but I know it's necessary. Okay? But it's time that we stop being fearful of being on the J Juice out there in Facebook land, because let me tell you, can you really afford to be so private about it? I mean, when you have the world basically falling all over the place around you, people are dropping like flies around you, it's now time to come out that you're doing the J Juice and showing people that you're doing it, and you're getting actual results. Not just saying you're doing it and then you have no results, no one can see anything, but actually specific, measurable results. That's the whole point of J Juice. It's not just to pay it lip service because it's trendy. It's that you actually see the results in your hair, skin, in your nails, and your demeanor, and your whole everything. Okay? Because it won't make sense if you do the J Juice and there's no results. You can't see it. You're not talking about it. You're not even. And I've lost a lot of people along the way, but I mean, it isn't for everybody. All right, so I'm gonna go do my thing, but hopefully I reached at least a few of you. I've resolved myself that, yeah, I will not help anyone personally in my life through it. They're going to have to do it themselves and elicit their family around them. Not going to be anybody's doctor, anyone's advisor, even in my personal life. That's a boundary. And yeah, you guys make those boundaries yourself. Do the J juice, talk about it. Don't try to sell people on it, but have them understand the severity of what direction they're taking, and give them that opportunity to read the information and to watch your development and watch your progress. And then they will be the one to decide themselves. They will be the one to actually do it. When people actually do it because they see you, that's like the best compliment in the world. Because you didn't have to convince them, you didn't have to sell them, you didn't have to be, you were that example for them, and then now they're on it and they're doing it, and it's amazing. And they didn't have to buy the book. Some people don't have to buy the book. You just get the recipe off my freaking page and then watch some of my videos, or get the ebook. Send me the receipt. You watch the stupid YouTube video about it. Stupid. Not stupid, but you know what I mean. You make it and you just drink it. People are sending me emails. Hey, I want to buy 7 jars of it. I'm like, I don't sell this shit. I'm not fucking FDA approved as far as selling this, and I don't want to be. It's a goddamn recipe. Excuse my language. It's a recipe. It's in a book for either $9 or $19. Okay? You make it yourself and you do it. I don't sell anything except for a damn book. This is a personal venture. And even though you have to buy the book, just get the stupid recipe off my goddamn Facebook. Make it. Watch the video on YouTube. You can go through my YouTube videos, because there's a lot of them. Though I think YouTube they truncate it. I don't know. There's a lot of videos that are missing, but that's okay. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, so easy to make. Haha, why buy it from someone? I know, right? And you don't know how they make. When someone else makes it for you, even if you watch them, what's the point? If you watch them, you might as well just do it. But when you buy something from somebody else, you have no idea what they did to it. You don't know how much salt they put into it. You don't know anything. So these companies that are making cabbage juice, they're probably putting a little bit of salt. The amount of salt in the J juice is the determining factor of why it's so effective. You put 1 teaspoon instead of 1 tablespoon, you're not going to get the same effects. And you're going to wonder why you're not getting the results. The sodium is what makes this juice amazing, which is what also pisses everybody off about in the mainstream world, because they're so afraid of high blood pressure. But I'm sorry, you have a weak cardiovascular system, a weak nervous system, a weak everything, then you're going to be waking up that which has been put to sleep, or that which needs to be freaking healed, and you're going to have to deal with some symptoms. Oh my God. Welcome to life. It's not about drugging yourself out. It's about actually waking up and healing. And if you want to be drugged out, anesthetized, zombified, then stay where you are. But I'm telling you, I fight for my life. I fought for my life ever since I was a kid. When I sneeze loud and I sneeze hard. When I cough hard and I cough loud. When I blow my nose hard and I blow it loud. When I talk hard and I talk loud. Okay? Because that's me. It rubs people the wrong way, yes, because I can definitely be very in your face about stuff. But it's the life in me. And so when someone is so soft-spoken and so like meek and so this, I'm like, it annoys me, because it's like, come on, I want you to be strong. Right now you're coming off weak. And so I try to be a little empathetic for those that are like in that, but it's difficult. So, I want you all to be strong, but you have to do the work. It's not enough for me to want for you. You guys gotta want it yourself. All right, enough of my lecture today, but you guys have a great day. It's my birthday, celebrate it, right? Have some cake. I'm just happy that I have this opportunity, and pay attention to the world. We're in some interesting times, you guys. I'm kind of excited. And you should be excited too. If you're doing the Jade Juice, you should be excited, because no matter what, you're going to survive all this crap. Just be proactive, plan. It's hard to say what's going to happen when in a couple weeks when the virus becomes a bit more exponential in your area. But you know what's going to happen. You're seeing already in China. It's going to happen. It's already happening. It's just like, oh, we're having school closures. Oh, I have a stomach flu. It's already happening. Oh, this person went down with a heart attack or stroke or, you know, aneurysm. It's already happening. Now you really have to be proactive and strengthen your body to get out any excess data that the body cannot handle at the moment in time. Okay? And just keep plugging away. Love you all. Have a good day. Bye.